I am Jadon Se, Golden Dragon of the Third Arc of Consciousness, and this is a message from the Dragon. Today's message, History Lessons, Part 1. Dear ones, your world is so much more amazing than you know. And your Andronoth, this object entering into your solar system and approaching this, your Gaia, with stories of many old, forgotten tales, and the great illustrious history of this, your Gaia, is right now restoring, through an energetic flow into the gridwork of this world, the stories, the histories, things that have been hidden from humanity, let us say, by the ages and by catastrophes and tragic losses of libraries, etc. We are going to do a quick series of histories. Yes, dear ones, these are stories that are being brought back to where they belong, this, your Gaia, your world. We will start some 7 million years ago. There are stories that are older than these, but these are the stories when this planet became what it is today in the current recognizable form that she is. Some 7 million years ago, just a little less than that, your world had a calendar year of 360 days. Yes, dear ones, 360 days. And as you shall see, the continents and the arrangement of the world was quite different before that. At this time, some nearly 7 million years ago, certain forces within the core of this your world, magnetic forces that do indeed influence the spin of your world, changed abruptly, and it was a catastrophic change. Your world went from having 360 days in a year to 365 days in a year in the course of several hours. Yes, dear ones, the earth slowed down abruptly, and as one might understand just from your modern physics, the oceans of your world are quite fluid, and when the world slows down abruptly, it causes a great mega tsunami. Dear ones, not only were the oceans moving, but the crust of your planet itself had waves of motion and stress caused by this sudden slowing. Of course, dear ones, as the world is spinning faster, your animals on the surface, objects on the surface, were lighter due to centrifugal force changes. Yes, dear ones, centrifugal force. You can look that up or ride a merry-go-round and try not to fall off, and then you'll understand what centrifugal force is. Dear ones, beings on the surface of your world were lighter at that time because as the earth slowed down, the forces of gravity were no longer offset by these centrifugal forces, and it made every being and every object on the surface a bit heavier. So you can imagine that your ocean floors changed, the basins themselves flex. Yes, dear ones, this is how your Atlantis disappeared under the waves many millions of years later. The same thing can happen when water moves around on this your world. The basins of your oceans flex. Some areas get deeper, some areas get shallower, and it is not a stretch of the imagination that continents rise and fall in such situations. This, dear ones, was a situation where the earth slowed down very rapidly, and a gigantic wave of ocean water, mud, rocks, sediments, anything loose on the surface moved at a very high rate of speed, and most importantly, there was no stopping these redistributions of, we shall say, momentum. Dear ones, a great wave of water and debris swept from west to east. And if you look at today's world, today's maps, especially if you examine the ocean floors and the features of the ocean floors, you will see that your entire South American continent was moved hundreds of miles to the east by this wave. And in places, the water breached through the entire mountain chains that were created and created flows of water. You can see on this your ocean floor what appear to be tongue-shaped indentations in the ocean floor where the water broke through and mountains were swept many thousands of miles across and to the east. This your South Sandwich Islands, yes, dear ones, your Andes mountain range was created almost overnight. The water swept up and over the Andes, if you can believe this, and the ocean floors became mountains. This is why, dear ones, if you look in the Andes, you will find seashells at the very peaks of the mountains. Yes, fossilized seashells. It has been nearly 7 million years since this catastrophe occurred. And dear ones, the entire map of your continents changed very rapidly. Yes, it was a great reset on the surface of this your Gaia. And we will not say why this happened. That is another message. Let us just say it was not by accident and it was not a fluke, but the magnetic properties of your Earth changed due to changes in your solar system. This is another message. Dear ones, your Earth took its nearly current form at that time, nearly 7 million years ago. There have been many changes since then that have caused the oceans to rise and fall, ice caps to grow and melt again. And this has also changed drastically the coastlines, the places of inhabitation for this your humanity. So let us just say that humans have been around for nearly 7 million years in their current capacity. Actually, the earlier humans were much more advanced, I'm sorry to say. They were much more in alignment with the ideal human template. This is yet another message from the dragon that we will tackle at some point. But just know that humans have been here on this your Gaia for nearly 7 million years. Yes, dear ones, nearly 7 million years. So in this series, we have much ground to cover. Many civilizations rose and fell, many catastrophically. Yes, dear ones, Atlantis was only the last catastrophe you have heard of. There were several, where, let us say that only a handful of humans survived. And there were other beings that were wiped completely off of this world, and others that were nearly wiped out, that moved underground. Yes, dear ones, your world is much more amazing than you have been taught in your schools, and we will cover many of these subjects. You may also choose, as in the previous message from the dragon, to observe sunrise on a dragon point, on your dragon lines, the ley lines of this world. Yes, dear ones, if you sit in a grounded fashion on one of the dragon points, you may confirm or get even more wisdom about the illustrious history of this your world, because these stories are streaming back in right now. We will cover some of these for those who cannot visit these dragon points at sunrise, or those who cannot find out how to extract this information from the dragon lines, the dragon gridwork, so to speak. Dear ones, we will continue this series, and we will fill in a few of the blanks, the larger ones at least, on how these amazing ruins are here on this your world, who made them, where most of them are, and spoiler alert, most of them are under the oceans. We will touch on why this is. Your Gaia is so much more amazing than you know. You have not been told even a fraction of the truth in your schools, universities. We will start this University of the Dragon, so to speak, in these messages, and bring back some of these lost bits of knowledge and wisdom, so that you may understand the grand histories of human civilizations rising and falling on this your Gaia, and you carry these stories within your very being, so they are all very important to you, especially at this, the dawn of the Golden Age. Look for more of these histories from the dragon. That is enough for now. I am Jadon Se, in love with the beautiful and glorious stories of this your world, and in love with humanity.